get started because I want to, like I said, I want to honor your time that you guys have tonight. But the main reason why I try and do webinars here and there about liver donation and just help people understand, what the process looks like, and really giving you like the real live version and not like the candy coated version that sometimes happens, when you ask maybe certain doctors or whatever. So it's just a chance to be able to share like our real stories and be able to support each other on what we need support on. And so my liver donation story, I donated 10 years ago in April, and I donated to my father. And at the time, he didn't have medical insurance. So we ended up going through medical tourism, and we ended up going to India to do our transplant. And so kind of like a very shocking process, if you want to say so, because it was, like it all happened so quickly. As you guys know, you've already been tested and kind of how that process works. I got tested here in the United States to make sure I was a match. And then once we found out I was a match, we both went out to India to do the procedure. So it was pretty crazy process. And the whole liver donation, if I had to do it again, of course I would. But unfortunately, while we were in India, my father passed away about 2 weeks after transplant. So, it doesn't always happen the way that we want it to happen. But, even people who, you talk to, typically they would say that they would donate again if they could. But, I think that it's just a matter of preparing yourself and really being able to, just know that things don't always go great. Sometimes you have issues afterwards. Sometimes your recipient has issues or doesn't make it and that kind of thing. So the reason why I have Karen and Richard on tonight is because I started listening to their podcast, which is called the Healthy Half Hour Podcast, and I found it on Spotify. And literally would listen to them all the time. And so they offered a 7-day shred program, which I ordered. And I thought, this is really, this will be something that I can try to help get some weight off and that kind of thing. And as I was reading that full downloadable 7-day shred, there was just so much information in there about gallbladder and gallbladder health. So to me, it really hit me upside the head because I had already lost my gallbladder. And when I was donating, the doctors told me that it really wasn't that big of a deal to lose my gallbladder, and that I just, I'll be fine afterwards. I might have a few side effects by not having it. But in general, a lot of people can live without their gallbladder. So of course I said, okay, I was already bought in. I wasn't going to say no at that point. And to be completely honest, I have not had any major issues with my gallbladder, at least that I've noticed. But I really wanted Karen and Richard to come on and talk about it because, there's some things that I think all of us could know about gallbladder health and about, how we can help other people prepare for liver donation in the future. And then also, like Sarah and I who've already donated, what can we do to make sure that our gallbladder are, to really try and compensate for not having a gallbladder. So that's really why I've invited Karen and Richard on. They are amazing. I love their podcast. They talk about all kinds of great things about health and wellness. So if you guys want to, listen about that kind of stuff, I would highly encourage you to go listen to their Healthy Half Hour podcast. Even after this, like I said, just a ton of great information. So with that, I wanted to introduce Karen and Richard, and we're excited to hear what you guys have to say about gallbladder health.
So are we.
Awesome. Yeah, that means if you guys actually tie into the podcast now, that means we'll have 7 listeners. Wow, we're gonna be awesome. People will love us.
Make sure you count me in there.
I think we have a few more. I definitely think we're in like double digits. Like I think we're in treble digits, but no, we're like really pumped that Renee wanted us to come on the webinar. And one of the things, what we're going to do tonight is we're actually kind of just going to give like you an overview on getting the body healthy before the surgery, what it means to not have a gallbladder, and that there's not just one thing. It's like when people want to lose weight, you know, a lot of like trainers will say, eat less, move more. No, there's like way more to health than just one aspect. And the root cause of any chronic disease is inflammation. And at the end of the day, there's so many factors that go into inflammation. But one of the things when it comes to the body, my tagline has always been, you can't lose weight to get healthy. You've got to get healthy to lose the weight. And you've got to get the body healthy to like manage thy day-to-day activities and just life in general. And when it comes to, it does actually say in my 7-Day Shred ebook that when the doctors tell you that you don't need a gallbladder, your doctor's lying, because you weren't given one in the first place, like if you didn't need it. And the more that I did research after speaking to Renee and looking at liver donation, and from what you two have just said, Sarah and Len, and what the research I did, you can't get away with like not losing it. I did see that like if you donate to a child, that you typically keep it, I believe. Is that, Renee, do you think because like they're removing less of the liver? Or...
Sarah's saying no. So did you donate to a child, Sarah?
Yeah, I donated to an 8-month-old baby.
Oh, wow.
And they took my gallbladder.
Okay.
Oh, because I know that it looks from the pictures and the diagrams that I saw that the gallbladder, there wasn't any option, that it had to go. But
and again, we've met a lot of clients over the years, and I mean, one of the questions now, pretty much in our questionnaire, is, do you have your gallbladder or don't you? Because like it seems to be like the new appendix. It's, oh, we don't need that, we'll throw it away, you'll be fine without it. And I mean, the gallbladder itself is, a bladder is something that stores something. So once your liver's had a cleanup of through the hepatic portal vein, it pushes all of the unwanted stuff, I guess you can call it, up into the gallbladder, and then the gallbladder is basically full of salts, and those salts stay up there until you eat something. When you eat something, there's that trigger in the brain that the gallbladder will then squeeze, and when it squeezes a little bit, it's almost like, I like to give the analogy of like a tube of toothpaste, and it squeezes like a tube of toothpaste and then sends bile down the bile duct into the small intestine to obviously emulsify the fats, because when the fats get sent into the bloodstream, they're fat, bloodstream's mostly water, they won't mix, so that emulsification process. So again, it's one of the questions we ask people, because obviously it makes a difference with what you're eating post gallbladder removal, because obviously that emulsification process is now kind of stunted. They do connect the bile duct to the liver, so you almost get like a steady trickle, steady drip, I guess, if you want to call it that.
The tap dripping. I was just trying to find the statistics in Canada on gallbladder removal, and the numbers are, I can't find it, like, and they're huge.
And again, a hypothesis I've sort of come up with really is, I mean, if you look at dietary changes since the 70s, a lot of people went onto the low-fat diet. And if you're not eating a lot of fat, then that signal to want to emulsify, the need to emulsify fats from digestion doesn't really come from the brain to the gallbladder. So like I say, the gallbladder has got salts in it, and when salts sit around for a long period of time, they end up causing stones. So now again, when that signal's sent to the gallbladder muscle to squeeze to push some bile out, you can't get a big stone through a small hole. Most people are bent over double in pain, and that's when you're rushed into the ER and it's taken out. So again, it's kind of, from research and looking around I've done, the hypothesis again of the low-fat diet has probably caused this epidemic of gallbladder removals. And again, from a client basis, once they've had it removed, some people like Renee do pretty well pretty quickly, and other people really struggle. And again, dietary changes need to be done, because obviously sometimes again we can end up with greasy stools, because obviously that fat digestion isn't done. It's not bad. We always talk about poop on everything we do, and I've managed to go 6 minutes without talking about it.
It's our favourite.
Poop's our favourite subject, so I got it. So again, what we're going to try and expand on today is some of that diet, and like Karen says, some exercise things. Again, just to kind of look at again what the liver actually does, and again how we can kind of take the load off the liver, I guess, to a certain degree, for optimal liver health for you, and obviously if you are donating, for the person you're donating to.
And one of the things, I mean, it's an epidemic worldwide, even in like the UK as well. The obesity is chronic, like the numbers are elevated, and it's starting so young in kids and people who are overweight or diagnosed as clinically obese. And your body has a lot of visceral fat, so that visceral fat surrounds your organs and also surrounds your liver. So again, getting your body at a healthy weight before the surgery is important, and obviously getting across to people who are actually receiving that liver, they have to manage their weight, because you don't want to have that liver donated to you, become obese, and then have all that visceral fat actually like squishing like your liver. And so obesity reduces like the amount of oxygen in the body, and when that happens, you typically become very insulin resistant, so you're not able to manage your insulin levels, and your pancreas and your liver are like master agents, like responsible for that insulin. The pancreas is number one, and then the liver is number two. So, and it's not always that how much the pancreas is releasing insulin so that you don't become insulin resistant and get overweight, but it's also the hepatic clearing out of like the body. So basically it's the liver's responsibility to clear that out of the body. So basically a healthy liver is important, so whether you're donating or whether you're actually receiving.
Yeah. So, and again, as like Karen says, to again, like our podcast, we talk about a lot of different things, and when it comes to health, there's an awful lot of moving parts, and some people may be lacking in some parts and then maybe doing well in others, but sometimes it's difficult for that pickup. And I mean, one thing is huge, obviously, again, in the 21st century, is obviously stress, and that can have a huge impact on liver health as well. And I mean, it's that again, that stress is high cortisol. And I mean, Karen's favorite saying with cortisol is, what does it do in the morning?
Oh, it's your internal coffee pot. So it gets you out of bed in the morning. Cortisol is high in the morning, which is natural. So it's your internal coffee pot. So that's why I present a lot to shift workers. And so when you're working with shift workers, their cortisol is high when you're trying to sleep. So, you know, it's like chugging down on a pot of coffee, just taking it the crap and just drinking it. So cortisol can cause so much like chronic inflammation in the body, and it just is, it's not the bad guy, but it's it needs to be managed.
No, but again, that's cortisol levels again with stress. And again, it's not like you're all of a sudden going to turn stress off. You're not going to get any more stress. More often than not, it's how we handle stress and stress management. And it's more often than not, it can be just attitude. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. I mean, you can bang the steering wheel and rage and stick your arms out the window and give them the one-fingered wave or whatever. Or you can just kind of take a couple of deep breaths and just move on. And I mean, that attitude towards what happens can sometimes make the difference. You know, being having a stressful life, and again, putting extra load on the liver again through that cortisol, which is running through the blood. And I mean, cortisol actually increases blood sugar. And I mean, the way cortisol increases blood sugar again is through the liver. So I mean, it's extra work that the liver does on the side that again can be not totally avoided, but I think managed is probably the better word.
And sleep deprivation is huge. People don't value just how important sleep is, and it's the one thing that we actually sacrifice the most to get things done. We live in like a busy society, and we all just think like, oh well, we'll sleep when we're dead. But basically, if we didn't sleep, then we would die, and sleep is like critical to life. But sleep deprivation actually increases like our cortisol levels, it increases our stress levels, and it downregulates our body's ability to manage insulin again. And so what happens is your body keeps your liver keeps pumping out insulin, like even when your blood sugar's high and you're not even eating sugar. So sleep and stress are just like two factors to like consider when it comes to getting the body healthy and getting the liver healthy, because you don't want your liver being overworked. So as a liver donor, it's important that you look after your liver, but as a liver recipient, helping people to become educated on what you have to do actually after you've received that liver. And when Renee, I'm just as a side note, you said that you can donate again, and is that advisable, or I mean, do doctors kind of shy away from that?
I don't think, I know I was told that I could not donate my liver again.
Okay.
But you know, there has been people that talk about like donating a kidney after they've done liver donation, or maybe they do a kidney first and then part of their liver. But yeah, I was advised that I would not be able to donate part of my liver again. So.
Okay. Because yeah, obviously it does grow back in the donator.
Yeah, in the donor and the recipient, it'll grow back.
Yeah, yeah. So you just end up back in that. So again, one of the things again, which kind of ties into one of the liver's main functions is cholesterol, and cholesterol is recycled by the liver. So I mean, with that recycling, the liver again is super busy with that. So again, just looking not necessarily at diet, but I mean, cholesterol, it can be a huge factor. And again, it's one of those things that in the last kind of 20 years, everybody's running away from. So you've got to lower your cholesterol as low as possible. But again, now you're fighting with your liver, and more often than not, the liver is trying to produce cholesterol as much as is necessary. And then they're trying to combat it with drugs. So I mean, too much cholesterol is obviously bad news, and it is unhealthy. But again, looking with research, again, especially from like the natural health sort of departments, they basically say that obviously people using drugs to lower their cholesterol falsely, again, can have a huge impact.
I mean, it's like anything, like taking medications after a heart attack, you're artificially lowering like your blood pressure, and your body's not actually, it's not naturally working better, is it?
No.
So,
and that cholesterol thing as well. I mean, cholesterol, a lot of people don't realize that basically combined with B vitamins makes the majority of your stress hormones and sex hormones. And I mean, that those two in themselves, I mean, if your stress is high, then you're going to want more cortisol in your system. And again, with falsely lowering it, and I mean, again, we're not saying don't take your statins or your medications, but certainly look at dietary changes or health changes that can like lower it naturally if it is overly high. Obviously, some people from a genetic point of view have got high cholesterol, but again, something especially post operation too, because obviously you want to look after your liver health as much as you can.
and you use cholesterol to make vitamin D, but you also use cholesterol to make bile. So if you're eating higher dietary fats and you're using bile, then you've got to use more cholesterol to actually top up those bile stores. So when people say like, oh, I've got no gallbladder, or they say, oh, I've got to follow a low-fat diet, then it's kind of a moot point, because like say you use cholesterol to replenish those bile stores, but when you haven't got a gallbladder, then like Renee, you said that you didn't really struggle that much with yours, but there's a lot of people that do. And my hairdresser, actually, she had a gallbladder attack a couple of months ago, no health problems, and then she just started to feel sick and they rushed her in. And she says that she can manage most foods, but she says dairy, yogurt and things like that make her quite sick. So she doesn't actually manage those. So again, when you lose your gallbladder, you have got to be very conscious of dietary fat intake, obviously, and it's the poor quality dietary fats that are the most problematic. But everybody's unique, everybody's different. And so you've got to basically look what works for you. And Renee, you said that you really didn't see that much of an issue. Sarah, have you noticed anything since losing your gallbladder that you found challenging?
Yeah, definitely. Like I feel like I'm struggling with what I'm eating and how I'm processing it. And I'm processing it way too quickly if it's my first meal of the day. So like in the morning, I don't even know if I want to eat breakfast or not, because if I eat breakfast and I'm going somewhere, like, you know, I better know where I'm going. And if I skip breakfast and just have like a later breakfast or earlier lunch, the same thing might happen. I never have a problem at the end of the day, in the afternoon or for dinner. I forget I even have a problem with my gallbladder, but it's only that initial, like on an empty stomach, and it seems like it doesn't really have a pattern. I can't pinpoint it to a certain food. So I think it might have to do with my stomach being empty. Okay. And then that first food hits it, it could be difficult.
Yes, we get difficult. Yeah. It's. Have you tried any digestive enzymes or anything as a supplementation with your meals?
I haven't.
Okay, it might be just something worth looking at. Something like
ox bile,
or which again you can buy on its own, or you can buy like a supplement that's got everything in it. It's made by Now Foods and it's called Super. And the Now Food Super Enzymes got digestive enzymes in there for protein, for fat as well as carbs, and some HCl, so some betaines in there too. So again, it can just help with that, but just maybe an ox bile thing, because again, you're getting it from an external source. You're not vegan or anything? Vegetarian?
No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's normally can be the limiting factor with taking a supplementary bile, but no, just again as an aside with that. And like I say, other people, like we say, like Renee, obviously it's not been too much of an issue. And again, but from a digestive point of view, people's stomachs work differently. So I mean, what works for one again is work for another, and that's one of the threads through our podcast all the time, is that again, everybody's different, and you just basically need to do what works for you, sort of thing. So. And
when you don't have a gallbladder, obviously you're not emulsifying those dietary fats very efficiently, so you get prone to be deficient in vitamins A, D, E, and K. Hi Barbara, we can see her now. So we become deficient in obviously A, D, E, and K, which are the fat-soluble vitamins, but also we also cholesterol metabolism gets very inefficient as well. So when you've not got a gallbladder, like say, there's like so many other factors to consider, and vitamin A is key to eyesight, and vitamin D is like, well, vitamin D is a hormone, but vitamin D is important. And like say, we use cholesterol to make vitamin D, and people who wear lots of sunscreen actually disrupt that conversion from cholesterol to vitamin D. So basically, this, like say, we wanted to like just on this webinar just touch on like just each topic just like briefly, just so that we kind of like give you a lot of things to process. But like I'm jumping ahead slightly, but before I forget, because like I said, I'm like that magpie. If like after the webinar, like there's any questions that you've got, then do reach out to us via email.
Well, like Renee said, we can reach us through Renee through that email. So sometimes post webinar, people think, oh, I wish I'd asked that. Or again, if anybody's watching the recording after the fact, then yeah, by all means, again, we can try and either research or answer it, because sometimes Dr. Google will give you a million different answers and people don't kind of know which one to follow along with. But yeah, and I mean, like I say, just make notes and stuff. But again, any of you can fire away a question at any point, and we'll try and answer it. And as when we used to teach a healthy eating and weight loss class for CanFit Pro here in Canada, and like we always say to the people, if we can't answer it, I'm not going to make something up. We'll research it, look at it, and then find the best answer we can for you, and kind of throw that back at you, and kind of hopefully that'll satisfy your inquisitiveness, I guess. But
and like I say, we do keep our resources credible, and we're not a Dr. Google, like everybody thinks they're dying when they Google their symptoms online. So, and one of the things when it comes to overall health with regard to the liver, you have to consider that a lot of the thyroid hormone T4 is converted to T3 actually in the liver. And so if you don't have a healthy liver, that T4 to T3 conversion gets disrupted, and a lot of people start to present and develop like hypothyroid conditions. And again, then the weight like starts to creep on. Typically they struggle to manage their weight, and like I said at the beginning of the webinar, the obesity and having internal visceral fat is like, again, like detrimental to the health of any of your organs, whether it's your heart, your kidneys, your liver. And so you have to consider that the liver is not just responsible for insulin, it's responsible for a lot of other different processes. So basically T4 to T3 conversion happens in the liver, and probably around 20%, maybe something around that line. So you have to consider that, okay, my liver's responsible for like way more than just like insulin regulation.
Yeah. So just a question to those who have had the surgery for transplant: what's the post recovery time normally, or what have you been told, Len?
What was yours, Sarah?
My recovery. Do you want to know the length of time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was in the hospital for 5 or 6 days, and then I was at home recovering for another at least a month, and then I started to go back to work gradually, but I would say it took me 6 to 8 weeks to feel recovered.
Okay.
It took longer than that to feel recovered, but 6 to 8 weeks to feel like I was kind of starting to get back to myself.
Yeah. Is that a similar thing for you, Renee?
I was in the hospital for 10 days, and after the hospital, I would say, kind of like Sarah, I started working a little bit more as I went, like based on my energy. But I would have to say that it took me a good, and I was super active before my transplant also. So by the time I was actually able to get back to that, I'd say probably about at least 4 months.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, if I, again, have clients who have surgery, the normal, again, soft tissue repair is normally around 6 weeks before you can start to properly, not necessarily exercise, but start to move more again, because that soft tissue has started to really heal over by that point. And again, you're going to introduce a little bit of scar tissue, obviously, through the abdomen where the operation is. But I mean, exercise, one of my, like Karen's, the motto is like, you can't get healthy to lose weight, you've got to lose weight to get, so other way around. I'll get it right in a minute.
You can't lose weight to get healthy. You got to get healthy to lose weight.
And I mean, one kind I live by is basically there's no downside to being strong, whatever your age. And again, we tell that to clients. And I mean, again, lift weights, be not necessarily body composition wise, but again, just overall strength and cardiovascular strength. So I mean, people often say, I need to go running or this or that, and really just some walking is just a brisk walk for half an hour is just really good. And I mean, the abdominals get used, the arms get used, the lungs, heart get used. And again, just doing something like that, it just really helps. And like Renee said, I mean, she probably noticed it's difficult because you only go through it once, but post-surgery, being healthy and being healthier, should I say, will obviously help that. And I mean, Karen's got a client and she's come to some of your boot camps and she's in her early 80s.
85 this year.
And she had an accident, was it Linda last year?
Beginning of this year, because she goes to Thailand for 6 months of the year, and she was on one of those little motorized cycles, and somebody knocked her off her bike, and she didn't have a hip replacement in Thailand, but she had to have surgery. I think she had some pins, but if she hadn't been as fit and strong as she was, I mean, she'd be in a wheelchair now. And I met her for lunch last week, and she uses a cane, but like I say, there is no downside to being strong, and getting the body strong before surgery will help you to bounce back a lot quicker.
Yeah, and like I say, you don't have to go wild. You don't have to. You can join a gym if you want, but again, just some simple things at home. I mean, I work with a lot of clients at home here in Winnipeg, and we just got not necessarily a home gym, but just some weights, a ball. And I mean, like I say, YouTube, Dr. Google, all the rest of them, we've got a ton of different things you can do, but actually getting moving and getting some strength, especially through the abdomen, and again, that heart health as well, and just getting the lungs moving can certainly help post exercise. I know we're a little close now, Len, for you to start jogging, but it's something worth it. And again, in my experience, people bounce back quicker, and that post operative, again, it can be tough, but yeah, people who are fitter certainly get there quicker.
And going back to some of the jobs of the liver, I mean, obviously, there's in my 7-Day Shred ebook, obviously, it does actually say that, like, I really dislike detoxes. I mean, there's so many more marketing companies out there and say, oh, have this detox like potion, and it'll clear your liver. I mean, basically, if your liver and your kidneys are healthy, you don't need a detox powder. Like, you need a hospital. So your unhealthy, yeah, sorry. So if your liver and kidneys are not healthy, then you need a hospital, not a protein powder shake or whatever. So, and like I say, it's just getting the liver healthy. But the liver's job is, as well, like I say, the liver has to convert T4 to T3. It does a lot of things. It controls insulin. It like helps to clear that hepatic clearance process. But also, like, the liver's main responsibility that most people associate is getting rid of toxins and neutralizing toxins in the body. But in the 1800s, there was, or should I say since the 1800s, there's actually 80,000 environmental toxins now that there weren't back then. And 50% of the entire population right now are actually lacking a specific detox gene. And we're lacking it because we didn't need it back then, but now we do because of all the environmental toxins. So again, excuse me, everybody's liver is having to work so much harder. So that's why, like, say, we try to get across to people, like, it's not just one thing that contributes to liver health, and the liver is like a busy organ. So whether you're donating or whether you're actually receiving, like, the liver donation, then you've got to look at it from both angles. One, you've got to get your liver healthy because you're giving it to somebody else, but the liver's got a lot of important jobs to do. And it can, especially if you've got like a thyroid problem already, then an unhealthy liver is going to like further compound it. And
we've mentioned it on the podcast, and again with clients we've spoke about this, and it all depends more often than not on your degree of buy-in. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you'll get some people who'll go to the absolute nth degree to kind of try and detox their world, and then you'll get other people that will just do a few things. So again, if you think of everything that touches you is basically more often than not going to be absorbed into the skin, because again, your skin's your largest organ, and people say, well, surely it's not going to get absorbed. But if you've got an ache in a muscle and you put cream on it, why did you put cream on your skin? Because it gets absorbed into your skin and goes to the muscle where it needs to go. So even, again, depending on people's buying, I mean, personally, me and Karen, we buy like our toothpaste, soap, shampoos and everything from a health food store, because again, what they're made out of to us kind of matters. And some people say, well, you're a little bit nutty if you do that. You're kind of losing your marbles a little bit. But like I say, it just depends on your buy-in. A washing detergent for clothes, I mean, the rinse cycle never actually gets all of the soap out of there, or all of the bounce, or you're using bounce sheets or something. So again, it stays on your clothes, which rubs on your skin all day long, which gets absorbed into your skin, which gives your liver something else to do. And again, all these things, deodorants, whatever you rub on your skin, makeup, everything has a little bit of an impact on you. And I mean, it may be half of 1% of, so, you know, from an impact point of view. But again, if you kind of look at these things from the bigger picture, trying to eliminate as many as you can, and again, to your buy-in, because I mean, what we do to some people seems extreme, and then to other people that are even more extreme than us, they probably think, well, you're not even trying, you know what I mean? So again, there's a lot of, like we've said initially, there's a ton of moving parts in this. And again, that's what with all the podcasts we've done, we're trying to pick away at different things at one subject at a time, if we can actually readdress some subjects, again, just to try and get people just to kind of put their health more at the front of their minds. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not looking after yourself, nobody is. And you know, that's just kind of how the way it is now.
And I just wanted to like go back to the poop.
Oh, of course you did.
Because like I was saying about like this 80,000 like environmental toxins, and like the liver's,
is one of them poop.
The liver's job is obviously to rid the body of those toxins. And if your liver's working properly, like, then you will like see like a golden color to your poop. But if like,
yeah, you got to look.
Yeah, you've got to look. You're like,
don't send us
like,
photos.
Yeah, no, don't send us pictures. But like, if you notice, because we always, the one thing that you should be checking is your poop, because that is the first indicator of like whether anything's like potentially starting to go wrong. And people might think that that's gross, but like you might not actually be feeling particularly sick. But typically, if your liver is not ridding toxins and emulsifying in the fats properly, then it'll be a kind of like a light gray. So like, people don't like to talk about it.
There is such a thing called the Bristol stool chart, and it does show pictures of, I think it's 7 or 8 different stool types, and you can pick one and it'll probably tell you what might be wrong with you. I guess wrong is the wrong word, I guess, but what disorder you may have by looking at. So yeah, Bristol stool chart. We should have one hanging on the wall behind us, but I guess.
And then there's a guy called Paul Check, and he did a book, and he had a cartoon lineup of the poopy police, and it's like a lineup of criminals and different poops and like different stages of like health. And so it's actually quite comical. But,
yeah, it's
and then like to kind of like wrap things up a bit, because we want to like
what I want you to basically, again, can you just give an overview of kind of the 7-day shred? What it actually is.
Oh yeah, the 7-day shred is an ebook. It's like a 100-page ebook that I developed, and I centered it around the FODMAP diet, which obviously is to get rid of
fermentable sugars. She only wrote it. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just that like FODMAP stands for something, and it's big long words, and I'm not very good with big long words. So, and basically, it's focused around getting the body healthy, and primarily, like Renee said at the beginning, there's a lot of information in there on liver health, gallbladder health, why you need a gallbladder, that, you know, your doctor says you don't need it and you do. And it's all going back to that, getting the body healthy before you try to do anything when it comes to weight loss. And it is a weight loss tool, and it's a simple color-coded formula, but there's lots of information in there that will actually, yeah. But in the I've got my contacts in, so I have to like hold them far away. There's actually a grocery list, and it's like notations next to like some of the foods that are very liver what's the
friendly
word? Liver friendly, that's it.
Friendly.
Yeah, so basically things like blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, like fish, tuna.
I was going to say anything that ends in berry.
And anything that ends in berry, avocados. And like, it's color coordinated, but there's like little asterisks that like particularly are saying like, if you have liver issues, then these foods are going to be very beneficial to incorporate in your diet. So it's just some, you know, just a useful tool to have.
Yeah, and again, it can be helpful with weight loss, but again, it's like Karen says, it's a tool. So I mean, it can be helpful just in that overall health, because again, some people get stomach distension and when they eat certain foods, and they don't understand why, and they keep trying to take things out and put things back in. So basically what FODMAPs are is they're actual ones that ferment in the gut. So there's certain foods have fermentable sugars that, again, tends to blow us up a little bit and give us discomfort. Some people end up with gas, some people end up just like, say, loose stools and things. So again, from a health point of view, it's a really good starting point. And again, you can move, kind of shuffle over to a different kind of eating plan to start adding more foods back in, and find out, again, like we've said, the common thread is what works for you.
Yeah, and health starts in the gut. And the FODMAP diet, I mean, look up the guy, Dr. Ruscio, if you've never like looked him up, and he is the FODMAP king. And it's a case of follow the FODMAP diet for 4 to 6 weeks to get the body healthy, get the gut healthy, and to clean the diet up. And then I'm going to be adding a keto and a paleo and a keto section to it over the next couple of months as well. So anybody that has bought it or does buy it, I'm going to send the updated revisions to it. But again, like, it's all about getting the gut healthy and starting in the gut, so the liver doesn't have to work as hard, the kidneys don't have to work as hard, and none of your organs are being overtaxed. And so like I said, like, just to oh, I did want to read that one, didn't I?
I don't know.
Yeah, the duties of the liver, which is in the book. Like, so just to give you an idea of some of the things that I haven't mentioned that the liver actually does. Obviously, it transfers blood from your portal to your systemic circulation, storage and regulation of your blood. It forms bile for digestion and blood clearing, removal of ammonia from the blood, helps to excrete those toxins and heavy metals and dyes, metabolizes your carbs, proteins and fats, metabolizes your vitamins and minerals. It helps manufacture and storage your glucose levels. It produces heat through metabolism, removes foreign bodies from the blood, helps with methylation and oxidation, formation of glycogen and blood coagulating proteins. It regulates your hormones and controls the development and growth of cysts and cancer. And that's just a few of the ones that I put in the ebook. So there was no way I was going to remember all those. So I apologize for reading them off my ebook. But yeah, like, just to kind of wrap it up before, if you've got any questions, the one thing that is really, really key to any health improvement protocol is mindset. You know, what your approach is from a mental and emotional perspective, and you deal a lot with that as well, don't you?
Yeah, being in the fitness industry, yeah, I mean, 14 or 12 years, 12, 13, 14, whenever I did all my certs and everything for being a personal trainer, yeah, I just thought it was show up and show somebody where the dumbbells are and how to lift them. But more often than not, I should pull a psychologist's couch up on a clipboard and ask them how they feel. Because again, the mindset thing, it can be huge. And again, everybody's different. And I mean, there's different tools out there on the internet to find what your buy-in will be with things, and kind of what things motivate you as well. I mean, I've got a lot of type A clients, and they just go. You wind them up, pointing them into a certain direction, and they'll just keep going and going and going. And then you've got other clients where literally, if I'm not going to their house or meeting them in the gym, they're not doing anything. So, and again, there's a large spectrum in the middle. But like Karen says, that mindset of how you do things. And I mean, there's a woman called Gretchen Rubin, and she did these 4, what's the thing I'm trying to think? I'm blanking on it.
Personality?
Like 4 characteristics
Yeah.
of personality. So if you just Google Gretchen Rubin, you'll find it. And I mean, it's such a useful tool for me being a trainer, because you can kind of talk to people and you can kind of glean what their personality is. And she lists like the personalities out. Now, when we did ours, it was kind of, oh yeah, I am that person. And it doesn't tell you how to act or how to feel, but it kind of explains certain things. I mean, one of them is a question. And I mean, for years, Karen's sending me absolutely crazy with every time, we're going to do this. Why are we doing that? And she questions absolutely everything. I just thought she was weird, but apparently no, she's a questioner.
I'm a questioner and you're an obliger.
And so from a questions point of view, so now if I say we're going to do this, I've already got a string of answers I've got ready in the back of my head, because I know all the questions are coming. So again, for yourself, if you realize that you look through that list and you're an obliger, you're a questioner, you're a rebel, or you're a we're not very good at this. And so basically the 4 of them, so if you can kind of identify with that, more often than not, it can help you get into that mindset or motivate yourself to actually do things. If you understand, because I know we all think how we think, but sometimes we don't understand how we think, and we think it's just us. But again, these categories, again, it's not pigeonholing you completely in there, and they can be broadened out a little bit. You can be mixtures of 1 and 2, but sometimes again it's just a helpful thing to look at. And holder's the other one.
Oh, okay.
Not holder. So yes,
okay.
that's the 4. So yeah, just another useful tool if you're thinking of, again, that mindset front, to kind of motivate yourself to pick up that healthier lifestyle.
So is as donors, you guys who have like donated already, and then you're going to be, do they do any psychological profiling, any because obviously it's a big deal for you guys, so do they actually do any, like, not psych evaluations, but you know,
kind of preparing you?
Mm-hmm.
They do exactly that, a psych evaluation, and I had 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they want to know for sure that you're doing it for the right reason. You know, you're not trying to turn this into a sideshow. You know, that you're not being forced into it or coerced into it. So absolutely, yeah, it's very detailed.
Oh, okay, awesome. But obviously, you, Renee, you're obviously for your father. So I mean, yeah, I guess yours was not really questioned, was it?
No, the same thing that Lynn is talking about. They did that for me too.
Oh, okay, wow. But to kind of, and so post-op, what was the deal post-op with Sarah and Renee? What was kind of afterwards? Did they kind of
support or counselling? Was there anything?
It was available. I didn't really need any of that kind of support afterwards, but if I needed it, I could have asked for it.
Yeah, I guess, like I say, if the option's there and they put it out there, I guess it's up to the individual. Like we say, everybody reacts differently to these things. And I mean, one of the things Karen has trained in is being a cancer coach, and that involves like post-cancer treatment, where people are running around you for maybe up to a year with chemo and everything else, and then they pat you on the head saying, okay, you're cancer-free, bye, and they push you out the door, and then people end up, your training is because people end up lost.
Yeah, like I'm a psychosocial support coach, so I help them to come to terms with the diagnosis, like to deal with the 5 stages of grief that you go through. And I've got on, we were trained in surgical and medical procedures with regard to cancer and cancer treatment. And as a cancer coach, like a lot of it is like not just supporting the patient, but supporting the families and the friends. And in the workplace, I present to organizations. So I put together like a workshop saying that it's okay to not be okay, and to know how to ask for help. Or, you know, if you've got a colleague at work that's diagnosed with cancer, and people go like, they're going like, oh sorry, they don't know how to talk to the other person, they don't know how to handle it. So it's a great tool to have. It's a great source, and it's rewarding to work with people like that. And I personally went through the 5 stages of grief because I lost my father, my uncle, and my grandfather all to colorectal cancer, which is why I was invited to Toronto to train. And I spent the first year after my father's death making sure my mum was okay. So I didn't grieve until a year later, and then none of like friends and those close to me could think like, well, it's been a year since, you know, your dad died, you should be okay by now. But my grief was delayed. And so again, when it comes to, like we were just talking about the mindset, like surgery, liver donation surgery is a big deal. And like say, you think you might be handling it, but it could be delayed and it could be further down the road. And for you, Renee, especially because you lost your father not long after, the trauma of you going through surgery and then the trauma of losing your father, I mean, I can't even imagine, like, you know, or I can try to imagine, but I can't actually put myself in your shoes. So those emotional traumas, physical traumas, again, would have like a huge effect on your health, your recovery, and it's impacting so much more than just the physical side of it.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I've definitely noticed that, and been thankful for, you know, the support that I've gotten after everything. But yeah, it definitely, I mean, I can only, like, you know, just going through the surgery, I think in itself can cause some of that. So it's definitely.
Oh yeah, like you say, the being mentally prepared for it, and then
as far as you can be, obviously, and like you say, if you need that support from the medical community, whatever they can offer, don't turn it down for sure. It's certainly worth something. So we basically said to Renee that well, we'd rattle on for about an hour, and we're pretty much there, but we'd leave a little bit of time at the end for a bit. If anybody's got any questions or anything, anybody wants to fire at us, or anything which we can try and answer coherently. I don't know whether everybody's got anything on the tip of their tongues.
So does anybody have anything in particular you wanted to like clarify again? Because obviously, like I said, we wanted to just kind of give you like a snapshot. So we covered the reasons to not be obese or overweight, the importance of sleep and stress, like how it can impact your thyroid, how it can impact your poop, right?
Of course.
Keep coming back to
exercise,
that.
cholesterol, mindset. Yeah, I mean, like I say, we tried to kind of nibble away at a lot of different things, hoping we weren't too sporadic and too spotty in where we were doing it. But yeah, hopefully we covered everything satisfactorily, and you got a little bit something from this.
Yeah, I actually had a question to follow up from what you were talking about, the digestive enzymes. So I'm thinking that digestive enzymes, aren't they the same as like probiotics? Or because I know there's probiotics and prebiotics, and I was wondering, are all of those the same or no?
No, probiotics and prebiotics tend to work farther down into the intestine. And so what you're looking at there is you're looking at the gut microbiome, which is the small organisms that actually will break down food. And so all the digestive enzymes come in farther upstream in the digestive process. The first one obviously being stomach acid, HCl, or betaine is the supplement. And then lipase, pepsin, and the other one's escaping me for carbs. So those ones are actually get put in at the top of the small intestinal tract to help break down further before the actual bacteria get there, because the bacteria tend to be lower in the intestinal tract, more into the large intestine than the small one.
And probiotics will actually help to lower your cholesterol as well, because it helps to break down your bile as well. So probiotics do actually help with your
can help, but no, the other ones are purely basically what your pancreas would push out, and then stomach acid. So yeah, way higher up in the digestive tract stream.
And obviously, if you've not got a gallbladder, then you haven't got that little sac of bile that can do its job, and you haven't got that toothpaste tube to squirt bile to emulsify those dietary fats. And so digestive enzyme kind of helps to do that job for you. Yeah.
So you would say that after, you know, like that would be something that you could start after donation, just to kind of help supplement and make sure that everything's moving properly?
Yes, for sure. And I mean, with that, I would say, again, especially post-op, just check with your doctor that there's no contraindicators to anything else you're taking, or just purely post-op, make sure it's okay, make sure there's no time lag before actually taking a supplement like that. But yeah, it's a fairly inert supplement. I mean, there's nothing in there chemically wise that should make a difference. But again, it's always worth checking with your doctor. And like we said initially, earlier on, should I say, if you just want to do the ox bile thing, again, that's available too from health food stores. And
if you want to look online, we tell people to refer to a website called drugs.com. And it's a really great website, and it just tells you everything, like contraindicators with regard to medications and supplements. So it's a really good site, isn't it?
Yeah,
go to that one. So don't do Dr. Google, just go to drugs.com, and it'll give you, so you'll type in the word and then it'll come up with a list of the majority of what you need to know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Does anybody else have questions?
Maybe I can ask one. It's probably not specific to the gallbladder, but so when you're doing any kind of surgery, or when you're doing, when you're on antibiotics, you're going to be given antibiotics.
Yeah.
Anything in particular, any approach to take to reduce the impact of having those antibiotics, or to aid in the recovery of your digestive system?
It would be, I mean, really, from our experience, it would be once you've had that antibiotic, once you've ran through the course, then you can start a probiotic or prebiotic after that. Because again, antibiotics tend to obliterate most bacteria, which again, your large intestine requires that. So again, if they're taken orally, it can affect the digestive system. So again, there's no point in taking an antibiotic and then taking a probiotic, because you kind of beating one with the other. So you may as well run through the whole course of antibiotics, and then again you can do try and get a full spectrum one. So don't just take like acidophilus or something. It's worth just probably, if you get a local health food store and you've got somebody in there that you trust, or talk to the owner or whoever the most knowledgeable person there, and again you can get maybe 2 or 3 different probiotics again, so you're kind of covering a larger spectrum of the gut microbiome post-surgery.
And also a FODMAP protocol after you've been on a course of antibiotics is always a useful process to go through as well. So the probiotics help, and also taking out those, it's fructose, oligosaccharides, disaccharides, and polyols. See?
Look at you, you remember
I remembered it.
Good job. Took 20 minutes since you mentioned it, but we got there in the end.
Long, but again, yeah, so after antibiotics, yeah, just cleaning up, getting rid of the fermentable sugars, and taking a high quality probiotic for sure.
Yeah, much bigger spectrum as you can.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody else have any questions?
Hopefully you haven't felt like you've wasted the last hour.
No, not at all.
Not at all. I have one general question, because I know somebody who registered is having like really bad nausea problems after donation, and I think she wanted a little insight to that, because I guess it's been like 4 years since she donated, and she's been like completely nauseous the whole time.
Wow.
Still, wow.
So was that just nausea consistently, or nausea when she eats, or is there any specific trigger that might make it happen?
She didn't specify. It was just kind of on social media that we were interacting, but that's certainly something that I've heard people say, that they have nausea, and I don't know if it's just when eating or if it's, all the time.
Yeah, because it'd be interesting to, like say, pinpoint it down a little more, whether it is, like I say, whether it is, like Sarah was saying earlier on, I mean, her issues is kind of that first meal. So would it be that first meal time, or would it be just in general, or when she wakes up, or after a drink, or if she stands up quickly, or travel, or you know what I mean? It's just kind of just general nausea. Kind of needs a little more investigation as to kind of when.
Yeah, and it's like 4 years down the road and it's still happening, you said?
From the sounds of it, yes. So
wow.
I can have her reach out to you guys too. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Give her our Facebook details.
We can do some research.
Yeah, have a chat. Get a bit more background first, and then we can have a look into it.
Because it's hard to say without a bit more information.
And I think you guys forgot to offer the 7-day shred thing that you were going to offer.
What's the website?
7dayshred.com.
Is it 7?
Yeah, so
for
the webinar, we're doing it at 50%. So it's 7dayshred.com/liver is the website, and that'll basically take you straight to the promo page. If you just want to look at the website itself and just have a look at the information on there, it's 7dayshred.com. And if the promo is 7dayshred.com/liver.
Yeah.
LIVER.
The number 7 or the word?
SEVEN.
Okay. That worked.
See, that's why I couldn't remember.
Excellent.
It's only your website.
Well, thank you guys so much. And by the way, that 7-day shred is super affordable. So it's, you know, I mean, it's definitely a good direction. I know I tried it for a while and it helped me with a lot of digestion stuff too. So, but I just want to thank you guys so much for giving us an hour of your time tonight, and your expertise is always welcome. So, if you guys have other things or other, you know, you want to follow Kieran and Richard on Healthy Half Hour, you can certainly do that. We are going to leave this webinar so that you can listen to it again. So I'll be sending a recording out to everybody who is registered, and feel free to share it with other people that you know might benefit from it.
Yeah, and if you've got anybody that you think would, you know, they would like to reach out to us, then yeah, just share our information. And like say the podcast is healthyhalfhourpodcast.com, and we cover absolutely everything. And yesterday, well, it was lunch this morning, yesterday we interviewed a guy here in Winnipeg, and he put a post in a local keto Facebook group. And we chatted with him for an hour, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a healthy hour podcast.
Pretty much, yeah, a full hour yesterday. So.
But it was just very insightful, just to get his perspective on his journey, and it's interesting for us to listen to other people. So we're hoping to get more people.
Yeah, but we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google. Anywhere you get a podcast, you'll find it. So right at the bottom of the rankings. So we're in there somewhere.
Really new.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much again. As always, if you know, Len and Sarah and Barbara, if you have any questions or anything that you want to bounce off of me, I'm happy to be that sounding board too. So
awesome.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
all right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
The rest of your evening.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.